Your reels are getting 200 views, whereas other reels are getting 200,000 views. Well, here's the brutal truth. You have been making content. They have been making advertisement. There's a big difference. We're going to talk about that. You've been recording great content for your podcast or your YouTube show, but they're just not getting the views and the reception that you would want them to. Well, studies are showing that we only have 3 to 5 seconds to hook our guest into watching our entire reel. Think of it as 3 seconds of death. Your reel only has 3 seconds to decide whether it's going to live or whether it's going to die. We have to hook the audience in those first 3 seconds. And if you're not hooking those viewers within the first 3 to 5 seconds, they're scrolling on by and they may be lost forever. Now, not only will YouTube not recommend you as much to them, but they also will punish you in the future by not showing that reel to as many people because the algorithm doesn't think it's worthwhile content. Gone are the days where you can simply record good content, pull some highlights out of it, and that will work as your reels and short form content. So going forward, I don't want you to think of these as reels. I want you to think of these as advertisements. Now let's think about that for a bit. So an advertisement, something that is meant to sell a product or a service, but it has to get your attention first before it can complete that sale. Now, most of these advertisements either feature a catchy image or a headline of some sort that gets your attention and makes you want to continue reading or watching. So most of those headlines are usually one of 3 different styles. They're either divisive, they take something that is a commonly held belief or maybe the status quo in a certain industry, and they contradict it. Well, that right there, that can get you fired up. You either completely disagree with the stance they're taking, or you agree and you want that affirmation. So either way, you're going to be more inclined to continue reading or watching. They've hooked you right there. Now, another style could be a pain point. It speaks directly to a pain point you have and promises to alleviate it, or it directly meets a need. So let's think, for example, let's say you're a graphics designer and you're having some issues with your editing software or your processor not keeping up with what you need to do for your clients. Now, let's say one day you're sitting on the couch and you're scrolling through Instagram and there's a reel that says, hey, are you having issues with your processor not keeping up with your graphics designing? Well, here's a couple things you could try and it's not going to break your bank. Well, that right there hooks you because that is exactly the problem you're facing, and they promise a solution that seems economical. Now, they could go on to sell a course or something like that that fixes your problem but makes them money. Those are the type of headlines that we need to be crafting for our reels. So it is a complete mindset shift. It is about pulling the audience in and then delivering them good content. We can't just throw out the good content first. So I want you to start thinking, instead of in terms of content, think in terms of hooks. A hook is a little snippet. Either you say it audibly or a written headline that does exactly what it sounds like. It hooks the audience and pulls them in to view the rest of the content. So let's look at a real world example to give some context to this of how you can actually create these hooks for your short form content. So for instance, I have a client. He has started several businesses, sold several businesses, and he is very, very good at building teams, specifically teams that output amazing work without as much quality control on the back end. So if I was going to interview him, I would most likely touch on some of those things. But I can't just format good questions to try to get content out from him. I have to create hooks that can be said easily, succinctly to hook the audience in and then deliver on it. So for instance, let's say I was going to ask him some questions about maybe team members who aren't really seeming committed. Maybe they're arriving late. It's kind of become a habit. You've talked to them, but they're just not receptive. Okay, so the hook for that could be, are your employees arriving late? Well, here's how you fix it. And then we expound on that. Or maybe we're going to talk about culture building specifically that creates productive teams. So a hook for that could be how to foster a culture that gives results. Or maybe you want to talk about preventing mistakes within your teams and kind of developing a mindset of quality control within your teams. Well, the hook for that could be, are you tired of fixing the same mistakes over and over again? Well, let's build a team that gets it right the first time. Or we could even go into maybe a quality of work and say, most teams settle for good enough. Yours could be known for extraordinary. So these are all little hooks that could lead and open your reels, your short form content, but we have to bake them into our main episode in order to make it connect with the content. So my suggestion and what I would do in this situation is before I go on the conversation, I would write out all the topics I want to address, write out some questions that I think will really pull some information out. And then I'm going to write these hooks out and I'm going to slide them in my script. And when it comes to time, I'm either going to say it or I'm going to have my guest say it. Now, what happens if you're trying to pull this information out and, it's just not coming out? Well, you know what? You don't have to sit there and hope for the best, okay? We're not content hopers. We're content creators. You are the content creator. You are the mastermind behind this. You can make this happen. So instead of just winging it and hoping your guest says some good stuff, you can make it happen. Here's how you do it. So let's say I've asked some good questions and my guest has given good information, but it's not really succinct. It doesn't really, kick real hard, and it wouldn't really work for a short form reel. So what you do is you could sum up the information that your guest has said. So you look right at the camera and you say something like this. So let me see if I'm understanding you correctly. If you want to build a team that gets it right the first time, then you would implement boop, 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 and then you go through the things that your guest just talked about in a very concise way. And the guest might say, yeah, exactly what I'm saying, and they might even expand on it. But you are being the spokesperson for them when they can't be it for themselves. And you can, again, invite them in to clarify, and you can splice all that in post and still make them feel like the expert. But you are the one taking control to make sure that your content is great and it hooks your audience and really meets a need. Now, this is going to be hard to do if you don't know who your audience is. So let's go through a couple quick steps, things you can do to find your audience and really find your niche. You can do this easily on social media. If you do have a little bit of a following, you can ask them questions. See what their hurts are. See what their needs are. See the things that they value, and you can find needs that you can meet. If you don't have an audience, I would suggest following other creators, other companies that are doing similar things to what you want to do, whose audience you would love to speak to. Look at the audience, read the comments, read between the lines. You will see needs that are not being met, and you can step up and meet those needs, and that can become your niche. If you need help finding your audience, I have a great resource for that. Just comment audience below and I will send that to you. It's a nice little questionnaire that helps you dig down through the layers to find your niche and find your audience and find out how you can serve them effectively. All right, now let's get into the fun part, the recording. This is where the magic happens. So you've done your pre-recording prep, you've got your hooks, they seem really good, you've got the good questions you're going to ask or the points you're going to make. Now what do? Well, there's a couple things you can do. There's two different ways you can create these reels. You can do what I call direct recording, or you can do what I call long form mining. So let's talk about direct recording first. It's exactly what it sounds like. You directly record your reel separately from your long form content. Now, this is really good to do when you're summing up things from guests. So you can take notes during your guests' interviews. If you don't feel like you can put this in a succinct way right there on that recording, you can take notes and you can do it later. Format great hooks, speak them with passion, and then expound on them and deliver. The second thing you can do is what I call long form mining. So this is where you record long form content and then you mine it for the gold and you pull out those nuggets. Now, this is very easy to do if you have already scripted out your hooks and your topics and points and had them in your script. Now, a lot of you don't really like scripting your content, and I completely understand why. I don't script all of my content, but I do script my hooks and some of the supporting information. And the reason is the worst thing you can do, and this is even worse than having no good hook, is you have a good hook and you get your audience in the door and then it all falls flat and you don't deliver on it. You have to deliver on it. The worst thing is when you're watching a video and you get sucked in and it doesn't deliver on the promises. What are you going to do? Whoop, swipe right by it. And when that creator pops back up on your feed, you're more likely to just swipe through again. And they're going to be punished by the algorithms, and you're not going to feel like they're a thought leader in the space. So we cannot let that happen. And scripting is the way to ensure that you get across what you need to get across. Now remember, this is all about mindset, and this is all about pre-recording prep. You are not just putting out content. You are creating advertisements. You're putting on your marketer's hat. You are marketing to your audience. But what are you selling them? Well, you are selling them something. You're selling them yourself. You are selling your skills, your expertise, the things that you know can change their life. That is what you're selling to them. Do not be afraid of that. Do not be afraid of who you are and what you have to offer. Get out there, state it, and the people who need it will come. Now, here's a quick tip for you. Do not be afraid of giving out too much information in this short form content. The more information you give, the better. People will see you as a thought leader. They will see you as someone who can help them. And when they have a problem that they can't solve, they're going to think of you and they'll come and get your help. And there you go, a new client. If we are too concerned about guarding the valuable content, we're going to push people away. That's not the way to do it anymore. We have to deliver great content. So your assignment for today, let's start small with this. Remember, you are the content creator. So next time you're planning a recording, I want you to write out 5 hooks that have to do with what you're talking about that you think are going to be right on the money, are going to hook your audience in. Then sprinkle them throughout your script where necessary, state them in your recording very clearly, and then deliver on it. You have to deliver on it. Don't just hope it's going to happen, make it happen. I know you can do this. I'd also like to invite you to drop some hook ideas down in the comments. For the first 20 who do that, I will review it and I'll let you know if I think it's going to be a scroll stopper for me. Remember, if you guys need help finding your audience, comment audience below and I'll send you that free resource. Wait, one more big bonus thing. If you want to see me pull reels from this video, I will be posting that as well next week. So make sure you subscribe so that you can see exactly how not only I find the good places that I've already scripted, but how I put them together, because you don't have to settle for the order in which it appears in the video. You can get creative in post and I'll teach you exactly how. And until next time, keep it on the fast track.